Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today on this episode of Mind Goblins, we have a very special guest, Thunder Psyker. Hello.
Hello, it's good to be here. Oh my god, I have just seen what I looked like 10 years ago with Lunchtime 2 in the background. Um, sorry, listen, lunchtime is a big topic to unpack. If
Yes.
that's something that we have to go into, then you know,
I'm
I have to just say it was my magnum opus. If everyone's asking, where's Lunchtime 3? I'm just like, I don't know how I can beat this.
yeah, no, lunchtime one was like that was your like, oh yeah, I'm getting my feet wet and stuff. Lunchtime two is where you took what you learned and you perfected it.
That I have a lot of close friends who are very fond of Lunchtime One, and I get it because Lunchtime One is like Citizen Kane.
Yeah, of course.
Lunchtime Two is like the Shawshank Redemption. You know, it's a different flavor of perfection. Lunchtime Three can only be seen in dreams. It can only be seen in your mind's eye.
Yes.
It is not a thing that can be materialized.
No.
Not even with the magic of the internet.
No.
People have been trying to make machines
Yes.
that can create Lunchtime 3 for years. Never worked out. Never worked out.
No. No.
But yeah, no, that's enough about the grandeur of Lunchtime.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
If you ever need me to tone down the energy, please
No,
do say.
no, tone it up 1,000,000,000%. That's what we're here for. I mean, I don't know if you've like seen us, but yeah, we are very much toned up, stupid energy. So keep it going.
Good.
Woo. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Mind Goblins. We got the lunchtime too, guy.
This is the legacy I want. this is what... It's gonna be on my Hollywood star eventually.
You know, the second one, because after the first one came out, you got your star immediately, and
straight up.
yeah, but the lunchtime 2 was so good. They're like, please, we need to put the second one, but for posterity, because you know you didn't want to like it would be disrespectful to everyone else on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and so you know humbly declined it, and I just got to say for that I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a difficult position to be in, but I figured that you know what, there's plenty of space for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm happy with just 1 star in the sky. However, I will take 10 YouTube gold buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't even cracked 1,000,000 yet, but just, I'm giving them to me now. Giving them to me now.
All right, all right. You know, we'll get in contact with Susan about that because I can do that here on Twitch. Hello everybody. um, this is Thunderpsyker. If you don't know who Thunderpsyker is a YouTuber who does a bunch of wonderful retrospectives and is also a voice actor on a bunch of YouTube shows. Specific ones that come to mind are Hunter the Parenting currently, also of text-to-speech device fame. Yeah, no, I'm personally a huge fan. Been watching. Well, I think it was that I watched a bit when TTS was still going. That was my big thing. You know, it's like, oh yeah, this is fun. It was like, and to be honest, TTS kind of taught me how to do Warhammer because I liked all the minis and stuff. And but I didn't know much about the lore. And then there's this giant YouTube channel with a funny show about it, and the show really captivated me because the writing and stuff really like, oh, but there's like a lot of heart and there's like something going on here. Ooh. And
No,
oh, so are you
go ahead.
oh
Sorry,
no
I was interrupting you.
no, you're good, you're good. And yeah.
I was just gonna, I was just gonna say that that was always a surprising thing about TTS was it being a introduction, because I think that when it was being written, it was very much with this idea of like, okay, everyone who's watching this niche show is going to be in on everything we're talking about. But then a lot of people were saying that they were new to Warhammer because they'd watched the show, and then that's the reason why episodes like episode 16 and 17 came out, there was kind of a recap of the origins and that kind
Hmm.
of thing,
Yeah.
um, and it was very heartwarming to know that loads of people got into the setting and got back into the setting after just touching at surface level by watching TTS. Like it's something that I think that the entire team behind it should be very proud of.
Oh, no, it's phenomenal. Like I mean, from my research, and I do a little bit of research of people going in. A lot of it is actually just me kind of knowing beforehand because I was a fan of you. I saw
Hmm.
the thing and I was like, oh, this voice actor does videos and stuff like that. He has a cool voice. I'm gonna go watch some of his videos. And then your Dawn of War retrospectives like got me kind of into the video game aspect of Warhammer at the time. And I was like, oh, sick, because Dawn of War is awesome. Um,
Oh yeah.
the Sorry, continue.
I was just gonna say that's really nice to hear as well. Just because I very much made the retrospectives with an idea. There's a reason I retrospective reviews with very much the idea of like, hey, this is something that happened ages ago,
Yeah.
but I think it would be cool that if people ever want to check out these games, that they can look at these and be interested in if they like take any interest in them. This is like a way to look at it.
Oh yeah.
A new way to look at it. But just because I really a lot of people, especially later on, was like, "Why do you not talk about X, Y, Z in these games?" It's like because I want people to buy them for themselves.
Yeah.
And to try them out.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
just like it's like a pitch of like why you should
Yeah.
try to explore it.
100%.
For the most part. And Blood Omen ended up being very much the same, even though I was fresh faced on Legacy of Kain myself, so that was quite fun.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I've ever desperately wanted to play a game that looks like that it could run on my fridge more than when I saw you do a review on it, and I was like, "Wow, this does look good." What? Because
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a real gem. It was a real hidden gem. I only
Mm-hmm.
really knew about Soul Reaver before actually jumping into the series, and
Mm-hmm.
it was great to actually try Blood Omen for the first time.
Oh, definitely. And I'm not gonna lie, so one thing that I find really refreshing about your channel, especially, it reminds me of, I guess, earlier days of the YouTube. You know what I mean? Like early
Mm.
2000s and stuff, when you had people just like, "Hey, here's a game I like to play, and here it is." And people have done that forever with all the big names, like from way back when. Like, "Oh yeah, I played Ocarina of Time. Here's my 12-hour dissertation." Um,
Mm.
and just to like see that energy brought back again in this day and age in such a, I guess, just a like wholesome and like genuine way, it makes me really happy.
Mm. Yeah, I totally get that. Just because I I'm quite happy to have that kind of look and aesthetic.
Hmm.
It's the kind of thing where uh I have a lot of videos
Hmm.
more recently where they have originally been longer and I've cut them down for time. And
Yeah.
I feel like if I talked about that more openly, people would go, "Why the hell didn't you give us the longer version?" Because there is a big demand for 2-hour
Yeah.
video essays these days. Like loads of people love it. And simply put, for me, I just feel like I like being concise.
Oh yeah.
I like making something that's a little bit more digestible, something that for me at the very least, the way I watch YouTube, that kind of length, the sort of 15 to
Hmm.
20-minute length, is sort of I can watch this while having dinner.
Yeah.
Whereas 2-hour video say is very much like yeah, I'm gonna play a game that doesn't have a strong soundtrack or much narrative or
Hmm.
like a you know make a world in Minecraft or something
Yeah.
and put that on in the background, which I much rather, especially if I'm going to animate gags, I'd rather have it be sort of more of a simple thing.
Sure.
Though I wouldn't rule out the possibility of making longer things though, just because especially when it came to like Dawn of War, I feel like I mostly said my piece on those games.
Yeah.
Um, Deeper dives into them are something I do want to do, but as they stand, feel like the way they are, I'm happy with their length. I think if I drag out a bit more, it'll sort of get a little bit sort of less interesting, I suppose.
Oh no,
Um,
totally. I
but
mean, especially with how thorough you are, I want to say, but with like the small amount of time you're given, you're very efficient in trying to like cover your thoughts and stuff and cover the game in a
mm,
very entertaining way. Um
yeah,
the oh god, every time I'm like, yeah, this is really interesting. I look up and I see you snorting Doritos. Um,
Yeah, all right.
yeah.
We originally that video was just uploaded as Lunchtime 2 trailer with the implication that I would make that into a longer thing.
Oh yeah.
Um then no,
Yeah. No, of course.
wasn't gonna happen. Like funnily enough, the first time that I met another person who's worked on TTS and Hunter
Huh.
Parenting and stuff, Dr. White.
Oh sure.
The first time I met him in person when he came up to Norfolk.
Uh-huh.
He we actually filmed a Lunchtime 2 together,
Mhm.
and it was a mess.
Yes.
And it involved, and White decided to take on the responsibility of having to actually snort a Dorito. It did not go well.
Oh, so he actually snorted the Dorito.
Yeah, well, he did not get very far, but he did it.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
he had the guts. I did not. I chickened out from that one, and I have huge respect for White and his commitment to basically every.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. No, Lunchtime is it's a specter that looms over me. It's like
Yeah.
you know, it's making Spirited Away when you're 17 years old and going, well, how do I beat that?
Of course.
How do I make a better film? It's impossible.
Okay, so I have to ask, how old were you when you started your channel? Because you're like, so I tried to go back and just be like, because you've been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
When it comes to this particular channel, and I saw the first video you have was, I think it was like a Minecraft clone on Xbox. It was like a funeral for it because it was because Minecraft was coming to the Xbox 360.
Yes.
How old were you when you made that video?
That would have been 2012. I would have been about 15 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. Although my actual start on YouTube is much further back, because Thunder Psyker was not my first ever channel. I had an original one when I was like way younger.
Yeah.
Good guess on Castle Miner in chat. It was actually Fortress Craft.
Fortress Craft, yeah.
Yeah, that was. But it was. But the first thing I ever made with the intent of putting it on YouTube, I made when I was 9.
Yeah.
It was a Warhammer epic. It was like I'm gonna say animation in quotation marks with the models. That is probably honestly quite good for my age and the time I was doing it. Like I didn't know how to animate properly, so I just put the models on pieces of paper and slid them around.
Awesome.
But I found it very amusing. I shared it with some other YouTuber friends of mine, like Alpha Buser, who made TTS and Hunter the Parenting, and he ended up making a supercut of that is now on his channel.
Yeah,
that you can see.
I'm like 90% sure that I've seen it. Like, because the thing is, I remember, I think you posted it in one of your there when I was doing research, I definitely saw it, and I'm like, oh, that was another question of like, oh, do you have like deleted things from just when you were super young? But like, because sometime people trim their YouTube channels.
That's a good way to kind of gear it towards, because after doing that, like I didn't end up finishing it to a degree where I put it onto YouTube, and for quite a few years afterwards, that would often be the case, as I would want to make something with the idea of putting it onto YouTube, but the main thing that would stop me would either be I didn't know how to actually export videos to upload. So I'd try to throw the Windows Movie Maker file onto the web page and go, why isn't it working? But the other reason might be that I would make something, I'd make all the time doing it, I'd look at it and go, I will be made fun of if I upload this. And then ultimately that led to me only really starting on YouTube in about 2012.
Sure.
For the most part, though, I think I have almost everything I've ever made.
Cool.
I look upon them very fondly as my like stepping stones and my start on doing these things. There's very few things I ever delete outright.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm emotional, that's when I do that kind of
Sure.
thing. But there's only one or two things on the main Thunder Psyker channel that did get delisted, and I think the first one was like I'd bought a capture card to record Xbox footage. It was what I think I used the Fortress Craft video for,
Yeah.
and it wasn't working properly. So the first ever video is me going, "Hello, my capture card isn't working. There's something wrong with the footage," and it would just be me with my little camcorder filming the screen of this Let's Play of Space Marine. I think a couple days after it came out,
Nice.
and I think the specific thing with that footage was that the footage would randomly speed up and slow down, so it would and the pitch would change with it, and it was. I never found out what was wrong with it. I ended up just getting rid of the capture card and getting something else. But that was one thing that got delisted. There was a Skyrim Let's Play that got delisted, thank God. And then like one or two bits and pieces here and there that are related to the Alpha Legion that I was like, this is a bit of a weird in-joke. I don't want to have this up anymore.
Sure, yeah, because like, like while like, oh yeah, the people from the Alpha Legion stuff, they'd find it hilarious and stuff. You're kind of still doing your own thing outside of just, oh yeah, friends or having fun kind of deal, and it's more of like, oh, you're doing YouTube though,
Yeah, that was I remember that was a bit of a sticking point when I initially started, because the Alpha Legion, which was what Alpha Abuser kind of did before TTS became a thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of really where I got started on YouTube, and I think people who make Team Fortress 2 videos talk about the concept of the content trap.
Yes.
The idea that you make something so tailored to one audience that if you try to branch out, very few people in your audience are going to watch it.
Yeah.
And I think Warhammer is a bit like that as well.
Oh, 100%.
So I remember being very scared about that when I was younger, and I think like there's like an update video from 2015 to be saying, I'm gonna do retrospectives on Dawn of War, and I might do them about other games, and you're gonna have to put up with it.
Yeah, I remember this.
I want to, and I kind of look back on that with a little bit of a, don't like how you're talking down to your audience, little me.
No, that's
sure.
Yeah, when you're, I mean, what? You were a teenager at the time?
I would have been 17 going on 18. So that was when I had like I think I was 18 when the first Dawn of War video came out. The retrospective came out. But yeah, that was it was a strange place to be in at that time. There's not much else that's delisted.
Sure.
I'm gonna look through my videos actually just to see if I've missed anything.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a funny thing though. For the most part though, I have a aversion to just deleting things, because I think archival is like a very important thing on the internet. I don't like things being lost, and it's why even the stuff that only means anything to myself is still like things I hang on to on like hard drives and external USBs and things. I think almost there's another Fortress Craft video that got unlisted.
Nice.
That's the only other one. It's just me trying to unpack like a weird Easter egg they put in the game. Oh, there's a Minecraft for Xbox review. Oh god, I'm gonna listen to what is this? What I was what was I trying here? I'm gonna look at this unlisted for 1 second. Oh, that's 240p.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I was trying to rip off Zero Punctuation. Okay. Great. Oh, that's a great
That's great. That's hilarious. So when you say you rip off Zero Punctuation, do you mean that you swore a lot? Did you wear a funny hat? How
it was it was just in visual style.
Oh sure.
There was like I just looked at a couple graphics I was doing of a game box walking around, and I was like, yeah, you took Zero Punctuation art style and you changed the yellow background to blue. That was inspired choice, my friends. But yeah, no, other than that, there's like I can really only see like 2 other unlisted videos here of prevalence.
Yeah.
And one of which is like a Gary's Mod video where I was the biggest sign that I was a colossal dumbass, because All right, I have no idea. This is gonna sound like madness.
Yes.
I made a video that was just called art, and
Art.
it just involved a robot pyro flying through the air, and it was
Uh-huh.
like the only time I ever tried making anything on Gary's mod. I think I unlisted it because without knowing it, I think I'd accidentally used a map that had the Twin Towers in it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know how it took me. I made the video, I uploaded it, I then went back on the map because I was like, this is a cool map. It's like a city. It wasn't GM Big City. It was a different city map. I was like, oh, this is cool. I then realized there was a massive plane sticking out of the side of the tower, and I was like, oh,
Oh
wait a minute, and that's why it's unlisted.
no! That is horrible.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how I didn't notice that, but
Oh my god.
yeah,
That is
that's why
hilarious.
this is why I try to make my videos comprehensive, so that I ensure that I don't miss anything like that.
It's really funny.
Yeah, that's.
Oh
But
my
I think
god.
that's about it. Everything else that's on here is like either stuff
Mhm.
that's still published or things that are like, oh, I made this thing for college and that's why it's private.
Oh sure, yeah,
That's
100%.
that's the thing.
Um,
Um, but but yeah, that's just I feel like I like keeping these things and talking about them though, just because I
yeah,
feel like a lot of people always wonder how people get their start on YouTube, as well as the channels that seem to have just come out of nowhere with
yeah,
incredible stuff.
uh-huh,
I guarantee you, like 99.9% of the time, that those people have made other videos before. They either have never published them publicly, or they had and had unlisted them since.
oh
And
yeah.
that was usually the case
I
of,
mean,
of what's going on with it.
if you want, like, I mean, for me, like, I've had at least 3 different YouTube channels from the age of 9,
Mm.
and they've, each I've discarded like a ugly sweater that my grandmother has knit for me. That happened to be very because like I think I remember I've always wanted to do YouTube since I was the wee child. I remember
Mm.
for Christmas I was given a Walmart like 240p handy cam that they got for like $10 or whatever, and I'd upload footage of me opening Beyblades and being like, "Yo,
Oh
shit's
yeah,
tight," and I'm like,
yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's always making you start with like something like small and cheap like that. I think it was my first camcorder was a similar thing. It was like a
hmm
really small handy cam that I got as a birthday present.
yeah,
Um and I used that thing for I think I still have it. It's in
uh-huh,
like a box somewhere, but
yeah,
I still hang on to that thing as a little memento.
that's awesome.
Uh the
So,
stab man is here. Am I the stab man?
Stabman. Um, I don't know. Maybe. Did you stab anyone recently?
Uh, not that I can think of. Do we count Kentucky Fried Chicken
Like, did you stab the chicken?
with a fork? Yeah.
Okay, that counts. That counts.
All right.
I,
Sweet. I am the stab man.
oh, I see. He says the stab man as in British. This is British idiot. He's one of my mods. I don't know why he feels the need to do that, because I'm pretty sure every person that I've ever brought onto the show has been in Britain at least once. So
The unusual curse that befalls the channel.
we are. Oh yeah, that's another funny thing, because I think I got my start like kind of deally at a person that I interviewed, and he's from he's in Britain right now. And ever since then, though, it's just like everyone, because like my hobbies and stuff tend to be like, oh yeah, it's Warhammer and stuff like that. And because of that, everyone that I've interviewed and stuff has been somewhat, if not related to Warhammer, but just like I kind of find them around those circles. One thing that's also massive in Britain for some reason, which I didn't know, is that British people love Transformers.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see why.
Mhm.
It's good fun, and it's the kind of thing that continually got aired across channels just
Yeah.
basically across every decade, 80s, 90s, 2000s. The one that I always watched and was quite partial to is, I think, Transformers Armada.
Oh yeah,
I
that's a big one.
don't know if it was ever. I don't know if it was ever any good because I might have been too young to make a proper judgment on it. But I always thought the Jetfire looked fucking cool in it.
Jetfire's
And I
cool.
was very disappointed. I was very disappointed with him being a crotchety old man in the Bayformers.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah.
uh, but that was Transformers is rad. It was my brother's thing as well.
Oh sure.
I think I had their hand-me-down sort of toys
Oh,
too from the late 80s.
oh, I gotcha. Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm looking at a new Legacy Chromia that I got in the mail like yesterday. A huge fan of Transformers here. That's and yeah, no, but everyone on here is from Britain at some point. It makes time zones very interesting because it's always like, cool. Most of the people watching me are from a different time zone. I'm gonna get up early so that we can get that stuff working out.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I get you on that front. That's something that I want to be more flexible with because I understand that, especially with West Coast time zones, it might be a thing that if I have to be up quite late, or if it's with someone that's from Australia or the Pacific, if I have to be up quite early, I'm happy to do that. Just depending on my availability. But
oh yeah,
that's something. It's been making things quite unfortunate with patrons at the moment. I've been doing game nights with the patrons, and I did a couple public ones as well. It's always a shame for me to go, oh, this is when I'm free. This is my game evening, and it's someone going like, I am from New Zealand,
yeah.
and this is not the evening for me. This is when I'm at work or when I'm asleep.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but still, yeah,
so
that's understandable. I'll let you.
Oh sure. No, you're good. I was just gonna say I think this is probably one of my favorite interviews already for the sole reason that I have a giant list of questions I meant to ask, and we just kind of memed at each other for the past 30 minutes. So I'd say we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. That's the kind of energy I tend to bring if I can help it.
Oh, I love it. No, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, so we've talked about YouTube. We talked about your YouTube. You're currently, trying to, like, this year you made an initiative to post like monthly and stuff. How's that been going for you?
It's been hard.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, the Blood Omen video is meant to come out in February, and ultimately, I ran into technical issues with that as early as just trying to get footage. I remember being dead set on trying to get footage primarily from the PlayStation 1 version. I like the idea of being able to play the first release of a game and basing a lot of my judgments on that before going into ports.
Yeah.
But just any capture card I had did not like my PlayStation at all.
Sure.
Modern televisions do not like AV, and my capture cards like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I sound far away, I do apologize. I was looking away from the screen. But it was. But the main thing. But ultimately, it did eventually come out. It was a little bit of development hell, and ultimately, I would have liked to have animated a bit more from it. But at the moment, things are back on track. Dawn of War 1 mod video. I might as well make this like my sort of premiere announcement outside of Patreon.
All right.
I was gonna do one video on all Dawn of War 1 mods.
Yes.
That got too long.
Yes.
That got way too long. I'm splitting that into two.
Oh, sure.
So I'm gonna do primarily the kind of like the earlier mods, the sort of history, legacy mods.
Oh wow.
Ending with it's been hard to research because I've been trying to find the oldest mod that is still available online for Dawn of War 1, and I'm pretty sure I found it. It's underwhelming, but sort of to be expected as something that came out literally a week after Dawn of War 1.
Sure.
But I'll leave that as a surprise for the final video. But I feel like I had a huge push in my own heart to want to do that just because when I announced I was going to do mods, everyone said Ultimate Apocalypse or Unification.
Yeah.
And a few people are now saying Crucible because I think Crucible's now the main new thing.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, yeah, Ultimate Apocalypse is rad, but Dawn of War mods kind of cannibalize each other, and I want to see where it started. because I feel like the way I saw Ultimate Apocalypse, I think my reaction to it is a little underwhelming compared to everyone else going whoa,
Yeah.
and it's simply because I've played Titanium Wars and I've played Firestorm over Cronus and
Hmm.
I've played every quality of life mod that came out before that,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, Ultimate Apocalypse is like a compilation of all of these things. It's
Shh.
a realization of them.
Yeah.
Same with Unification, you know, in a way.
Hmm.
But and that's kind of like why I wanted to start with that first. But that's looking good. Vampire's looking good for May.
Ooh,
Uh,
I'm excited for
that's
Vampire.
Vampire. Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade will be
Yeah.
fucking great. And it's one of those cases where I've slipped up a little bit, and I want to commit. I
Yeah.
do not want to have the reputation anymore of being the guy who disappears for 4 years and
Oh,
comes
sure.
back.
I unironically, I think that video that you came in like showing like, hey, I'm gonna be coming here now. I come back to milk, and it's like, here, eat this, and it's like, what is it? It's Halo Reach. It's good for you. Like that,
Nutritious Halo Reach
that
meal.
that unironically killed me when I saw that because I was like, I did not expect that. That was really funny.
I'm so glad because I already end up landing, but I'm glad that that one did because
Sure.
uh, and also just the energy around people being like, hell yeah, do other things. There was loads of people. The
Yeah.
most heartwarming thing about that update video was the sheer number of people saying, dude, just do anything and I'll watch you.
Yeah. Legitimately.
Like,
Like, I mean, okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about specifically was
mm,
you as a voice actor with
mm,
text to speech device and the transition to hunted parenting.
yeah.
Specifically how well the change went, and I feel like that actually and I don't know how involved you are in the writing and the production stuff for with Ogre Pompanung, but I do know that you've basically been around since the inception with TTS, and you just kind of been almost the poster boy as you've tend to voice one of the most loved main characters.
Yeah, yeah. It's odd because it's a
Hmm.
thing of Kitten is technically the main character of TTS, but I always
Hmm.
find it hard to see that just because TTS branched out into such a bigger thing
Oh
that had
yeah,
so many other moving parts.
oh yeah,
We had episodes like I think it was episode 29 where I don't think he appears at all.
yeah.
Um, or 27, no, 29 I think it is.
Hmm.
And it was but it was really but it was the transition was like super smooth. I'm not massively involved on the writing side of
Yeah,
things. I think when it comes to TTS specifically, I was part of the writing for a Q&A episode,
yeah,
and then after that, Dr. White and I, as well as Very, who was the voice actor for Psyker, the three of us actually wrote a script for an episode of Bro Trip.
sure, yeah,
One that was so close to happening.
yes,
It got greenlit. Alpha was really happy with it, and it was all ready to go. But it was going to come after episode 30, and the fate of TTS happened, so it
yeah,
never saw the light of day. But
sure,
which is a shame because I really enjoyed writing that,
yeah,
and the three of us worked really well together on it.
oh yeah,
But when it comes to Hunter, my role on that is a little bit more of a sort of loose consultation of, hey, this is being set in Norfolk, England. This is where you live. What do you know about it? And does this feel right?
yeah,
And most of the time, it's me just being like, yeah, that's pretty good.
hmm,
There's like always one or two bits I miss out where like the whole episode comes out, all the animation works gets put in, and I just think to myself, damn it. I missed something about that. I could have
sure,
added to it,
sure,
but it's me and another local from Norfolk who tend to be in that role.
oh gotcha,
Beyond that, it's just my I think the staff have made no secret to say that Kitten's characterization is very much based on my performance because
oh wow,
when he was initially written in TTS, it was very much just a bog standard Custodes character, and then after a couple of improv lines thrown in during some recordings, Alpha Abuser decided to gear that character more towards the way that I acted it, to the point where there were a few points in the script where it's like, okay, cool, Kitten needs to rant, just say anything. Like, and I'm like, sweet. and it's quite funny to see how, especially going into Hunter the Parenting, how much to an eerie degree Kitten started to resemble how I am in real life, to the point where it almost got a little uncomfortable. But
Oh, sure.
uh, but that makes it really easy to slip into the character as a result of that, because it's very much a case of like, cool, I know what this locale is like, and I can kind of imagine myself being in this position.
Yeah.
The very similar mannerisms in this character to how I am. So it's cool. It's really really fun.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. The Hunter the Parenting, I remember when that first episode came out, and the thing is, I didn't know what Hunter was at the beginning. So when the vampires came out and everyone started pulling out guns, that was like, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know what I was expecting. I expected it to be like, oh yeah, family road trip, maybe they're ghost hunters or whatever. And then like, oh, this is Vampire the Masquerade, yo!
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think that's been quite funny. Oh god, someone's just said Thunder has a blue ex-girlfriend confirmed. Oh god.
Oh, there it is. Here it is. We're getting the memes.
I'm not sure, since TTS is not officially cancelled, and I think that it's and I say that because I genuinely don't think it's gone forever.
No, sure.
I'm not sure if I can confirm or deny how canon Shadow Sun is. I'm really not sure if I can comment on it. Yeah, it was but that was the fun thing about it, because there was initially some announcements about that we were going to do a World of Darkness series. World of Darkness being the property that unites Hunter and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people immediately assumed, oh shit, so the characters are going to be vampires, and someone even drew fan art of the characters initially being revealed as vampires. And I remember we kind of quietly in the sort of production chat saw that and were like, this is really bemusing, because these guys are the exact opposite. It was but no, that's I guess like the next goal when it came to Hunter the Parenting was kind of making that an introduction to the World of Darkness setting, like TTS was for Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
And I think Hunter was a very interesting specific slice of World of Darkness to start with.
Sure.
Because some people actually had a hard time trying to tell which character was who, which to me, I don't get it, because I've known those characters for so long. But especially given the Emperor has been spent 95% of TTS on a chair having a text-to-speech device. It's almost like it's in the name. Whereas then having Speaker D play the character like he does in a few of the Emperor's flashbacks, it was like, oh my god, who the hell is this and what is going on?
That's fair.
Anything.
I'm not gonna lie, seeing that transition as a fan, because I just to point out, I was a fan of TTS for a while. I saw the the transition between the two, and I was around for that, and seeing that one, I think it was a Stellaris video where we saw like I think it was the Emperor, he had a giant pompadour, and he was happy because he was alive, and seeing that character like just being able to not just be a bit character for one episode like it's like I legitimately Speaker D does a fantastic job with him.
He really does, honestly. Speaker D is a great actor, a great voice director as well. Because he's like that tended to happen as during the sort of end point of TTS's life, as well as with Hunter, is that actually getting direction while recording, which is so helpful.
That's awesome.
But he's also just a great role player. If any sort of online playthrough is anything to go by, because I think he's in one of the online RPG things that either Zoran or Alphas himself has done with Norfolk Wizard game and things.
Yeah.
I played a World of Darkness game with him, and that man has got some energy. Like,
oh no, it's fantastic.
We played a game of Vampire back in like 2022, and
nice.
It was really good. But one of my math teachers introduced me to TTS. Hell yeah! That's a win for the math teachers.
All right, cool.
Oh god, I keep bumping the microphone.
Oh, you're good. So the specifics I wanted to get into, because I mean, just so you know, like I have a list and it literally is like gush about Hunter the Parenting in parentheses. That's kind of where we're at right now. One thing I wanted to ask you, actually, there's a episode of that's kind of like in the vein of the old TTS audio logs, where your character Marcus, no, sorry, your character and Marcus, the character, they're like kind of reviewing like Bim Bob's Boulder Dash or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this like intentionally referencing your YouTube stuff, or was that just a happy accident?
I feel like I feel like it had to have been,
Yeah.
because that was originally going to be the second audio log that was going to be released. I think it was going
Mm-hmm.
to be it was either the second or third. But the original draft of the script,
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple issues with it because it was a little bit too mean spirited, or at least
Sure.
it could have been it could have been interpreted as that.
Yeah.
Not about the subject matter, but more the characters between one another. I kind of had to say to
Oh,
like
sure.
Alpha, I was like, I don't know. These two are being a bit too mean to one another to be kind of for me to personally feel like they're probably
Yeah.
a couple.
Yeah.
And so the script got sat on for a couple years, and then a few lines were changed. We re-recorded some things, and it became the Bimbop video that it is. And I really like that audio log, and so do friends of mine who aren't even particularly massive fans of Hunter the Parent or
Yeah.
TTS, who decided to listen to it just because I was in there, and they said they really really liked it. But yeah, it was a that one I feel like probably was in a way. I think that Alpha did that deliberately.
Oh, sure.
But I kind of love him for that. And the first thing I got, like one of the first comments I got from the Blood Omen video was someone saying, "This is a really good episode of the Secret Hunters." It's like, hell yeah.
I love it.
I gotta collaborate with Zegram and do something like that. I think that would be fun. To
Oh,
bring
that'd be so good.
onto YouTube.
The so your voice acting. You've been doing voice acting for better part of almost a decade now, if not a decade.
Yeah. Yes, actually, that's well.
Mhm.
Yes. I'm just trying to figure out because I my first ever actual role
Mhm.
was not under the same username.
Of course.
But the first role I actually did on the internet, I did when I was about 12 years old, and
Lovely.
it was for a parody of Chowder. So
Oh, like the cartoon?
yeah, the cartoon.
Sick.
Chowder. Because there was a YouTuber at the time who wanted to make an episode long parody of the show. In the original art style, he had the software that they, that the CH Greenbolt.
Oh, that's awesome.
To make it. Yeah, and it was like a 3-year labor of love that this guy did, and it's still online. But the guy who made it I don't know why he wanted his name scrubbed of it,
Oh, sure.
and I don't really get it because from what I recall, the parody is literally just what if Chowder ate a weed burger, and which I think is such a funny thing.
It's so stupid. I love that.
Yeah, to put such an immense amount of effort into, but I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I really liked it. But that was my first start on doing any actual like voice role. But after that, it was primarily just when I got involved with the Alpha Legion before TTS came out. It was just a case of, hey, we want to do a funny Space Marine video, and we need someone with a British voice.
Sure.
Thunder, you're British. I was like, yep. Is this before or after the Emperor's Finest? This was after.
Sure.
It's quite funny because I feel like in between the time that it took for that Shadow episode to come out and me recording it and for it to be released, lost the ability to do the voice because puberty hit and my voice got a whole lot deeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a whole thing. But yeah, I kind of interrupted you mid question. I'm so
no, you
so.
are fine. I love the energy. I like the minute I can, throw the whole point of this show, by the way, is just kind of to, I guess, pick the brain of, creators that I really, really enjoy. And the questions are more of just kind of like, oh, there's a lull, we need to talk about something. Just kind of steer the conversation stuff, but you talk as much as you want about anything. It is completely fine.
All right. I that's my problem. I can talk for England.
Oh, of course. No, it's great. Yeah. I love it. So specifically with your, you've been voice acting for a very long time. Um,
Hmm.
Tell me, what other roles have you had besides, the big ones? Well, I say the big ones. It's the ones that I personally know you for. Like Kitten from TTS and also 100th Parenting and stuff.
At this time, it's primarily like most of my portfolio when it comes to voice acting is largely either stuff to do with sort of Ogopope and Angan Alpha stuff,
Of course.
or it is me just kind of helping out with smaller projects that might exist online.
Sure.
And frankly, I really want to do more. I want to branch
Yeah.
out to do a heck of a lot more because um, I I really enjoy it. I've sort of volunteered at the universities in my sort of home city for a while. Just if they have any like animation or film projects that they need voices for, I've gone like, hey, listen, I'll lend a helping hand.
Yeah.
And some of them have been nice enough to actually pay me professionally for it, which
Oh,
has been
sure.
fantastic.
That's awesome.
Uh, but it's not it's a line of work I really like to do more of,
Hmm.
but I one need to put myself out there more, and two need to just get more roles coming in.
Sure.
I kind of suspect that I'd really like to kind of give out an impression more of, hey, listen, if you want to have me involved in a project, drop me an email, and I am happy to help out,
Sure.
and or have a look at what you're doing, because um, I think there was like one or two times in like 2016 where someone who had only just really started doing stuff on YouTube had gone, I need a voice for this thing. And I said, I'm a voice actor. And they go, that's great. You're doing this role. And I just kind of sit there and I think, you have not listened to anything I've done because you're asking me. Like, someone asked me to voice like an Australian insurance mascot,
Oh,
and I was like, this character sounds nothing like me, and as much as I want to say I've got a decent range, I don't think I can do this very well.
quick, do your best
Um,
Australian accent. Go.
G'day. I don't know. God,
I
shoot me
love that
now.
you
That
immediately defaulted to TF2 sniper.
the sniper. No, we all know if you want an Australian, you go to Magnus.
Oh,
So
of course.
Zekrom.
I'm not gonna lie, that episode where you guys were doing warp shenanigans with the didgeridoo and everything is it's very funny. It's
It was it was really funny. I probably shouldn't joke too much about it because I don't know if Zegram finds it funny or
oh,
not.
that's valid.
He's
Sure.
probably fine, but it's one of those things of I it was always a thing of like I think Zegram was deliberately trying to do a posh British voice, and the joke was always that Magnus sounds Australian, so that's why we did the
Yeah.
Bushworld Adventures episode.
Yeah.
Um, which I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the another one where I'm not quite a writer on that one,
Sure.
but I got close because there was enough improv in
Yeah.
there. It's like,
That was another question I meant to ask you. How much improv is in a lot of your like work? Because specifically, of course, your retrospectives, those are scripted.
mhm.
But like your voice work in say, 100 parenting, how much of it is improv?
Um, so most of it is primarily scripted, but there
Sure.
are usually, if we say that an episode has like maybe 40 lines of kitten in it, there's usually more, but let's say 40 for now. There
Hmm.
might be sort of two or three lines where they just say either, hey, improv this line, or they might say, look, we have this written like this, but we've not been particularly sure about this line, and we wanted to talk to you about what you think might sound better.
Yeah.
Um, there's which I do kind of wish I got asked about on a couple of other things,
Oh,
just
sure.
because I'm trying to remember what episode of Hunter it was, but there was a couple times where Kitten has used a lot of slang that is very Spanish.
Oh, sure.
I think it was like Holy Toledo,
Oh,
and
yeah.
also talking about Don Quixote and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I think those are lines that either Erndil or Speaker D wrote because when you live in the United States, you're on the border of Mexico. A lot of sort of
Yeah.
Spanish slang kind of comes into it. Whereas in the UK, we are a notorious country for being awful sunburnt tourists that lay on
Sure.
Spanish beaches all the time.
Got
We
it.
never learn a lick of the language.
Got it.
We are just like so. That's something that I kind of am like. I don't mind it though. If that's like a particular quirk of Kittens, I'm fine. And it's
Sure.
established, I'm fine with it. But I
I
think
mean,
if I'd noticed it earlier on
mhm.
in the recordings, I would have probably said something.
I mean, I
Um,
would say that specifically, like, mentioning Don Quixote, like he's just
mm,
that's just a character that is very
mm,
like, it's a story, and it makes sense for character to for Kitten specifically to know about said stories. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Especially the crazy man that tries to strike the windmill because he thinks it's giant, but he doesn't care because he's cool. I don't know. I haven't read it.
Don
Um,
No, no, Don Quixote is a great story.
oh yeah.
Although I'll admit my embarrassment of this is one of my favorite sort of behind the scenes stories from it, which
Okay.
because it's about me being an idiot.
Okay.
Um, I had not read Don Quixote at that point, and I did not know anything about it.
Hmm.
So I get to the script, and I out loud just read it phonetically, and I just say Don Quixote, and
All right, Don
and
Quixote.
yeah, like I say something about I say Don Quixote, and then there's a silence for about 5 seconds, and I then hear Speaker D take a sharp breath and go, "All right, we're gonna have to do that one again," and and I I I I think that's really funny.
That is
So,
hilarious. That is hilarious.
um, that's how I learnt about a very influential piece of literature because I am not very well read.
The only reason I know about Don Quixote was because I think a girlfriend in high school was like, "Hey, I'm gonna support my friend by going to their play," and it was Don Quixote, and it was like, "Oh,
Oh.
cool." So I got to watch a high school rendition of that play. The play actually at my high school was actually like the play program. You had a lot of good people in there, so it wasn't too bad. Um,
Hmm.
sorry, tangent,
No,
but
no, you're fine. I find that kind of thing quite interesting
oh
because
yeah.
we did not get that many high school productions
Mm-hmm.
where I studied. We had a Little Shop of Horrors, I think,
Oh,
once,
Little Shop of Horrors is
and
good.
it's a great musical. I just remember specifically sitting and watching that at the time and thinking to myself, we needed a different lead on that one. He did not do great, but
Yeah,
trying his hardest. But uh,
yeah. Your
um,
high schoolers and stuff. It's you do it the best you can.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So that's the thing. We all get our start, and I'm also not going to pretend that I'm like a insanely good actor either. I just voiced Catman on internet.
So
I'm fine with that being my role.
before you go on and say you're not a good actor, that is I'm gonna tell you right now that is not true. Mostly because those I think it was specifically the finale of I think it was the arc with what the Nosferatu and the
Mm,
bit where you're just laying into him to just yelling at him, and that whole bit is phenomenal. Really, like the entire voice team did a fantastic job of really selling the emotion and the danger, and just it like I don't think I've ever like felt like honestly goosebumps at a bit of it,
mm.
especially when please remind me who plays Door.
That would be Super Anchors.
Super Anchors. When he comes in at the end, like it gives his whole like cowboy speech essentially. Um,
Mm.
legitimately like fantastic. Like you all did a really really fantastic job, and I'd say like I am surprised that you guys do not have work, or at least some of you guys have work, because I remember I think he actually does audiobooks and stuff. That's where the Door
Mm.
voice came from, or the Dorn voice. Um,
Yeah, that is greatly appreciated. Just
yeah.
because I'm quite proud of that scene as well. I
Oh
was
yeah.
really happy with how it turned out.
Hmm.
And I agree with you with everyone doing an amazing job because that might be one of like Dr. White's like best roles was Piotr.
Oh,
Um,
Piotr. Yeah,
uh,
that's his name.
yeah, he did Piotr. The phonetically incorrect name,
Yeah,
but it was
Peter.
clearly yeah, Peter. But it was I but yeah, I guess if anyone who is listening to this at the moment fancies drawing any fan art, having spoken about Lunchtime 2 earlier today, Yeah, that's the same Dr. White that snorted a Dorito with me while filming lunchtime too. So, if you ever want to draw Piotr and Kitten snorting a Dorito,
Oh my god, that
there
is
you go.
hilarious. So oh man, that is insane that you and your friends from, I don't know, high school just kind of hanging out, doing fun videos and stuff, and you working on something like Hunter the Parenting, which I'd say like legitimately is probably one of the best YouTube shows there, just because I think that the way that they have they could, the animation style and stuff, it's very silly and stuff, but when they need to sell it, it sells well, like it can be serious.
Yeah.
I remember the bit where like the standoff was happening, and then it like just zooms in on Dee's ass, and like a little fly flies on it, and like it kind of like, it made me like fucking laugh because I was so enthralled, like literally gripping my seat, just like, whoa, this is so cool. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's funny too. That's good.
God, yeah, no, I think everyone should be really proud of Hunter the Parenting.
Yeah.
Like, it's really coming into its own. I think I remember the production cycle for episode 1 was quite a bit rushed, but then it kind of, after that, they really kind of slipped into this new style, moving away from the TTS style. Like, I would have loved it if TTS has continued. But one thing that is so good about us jumping to Hunter and also doing Half-Life Zero Viscosity as well.
I love Half-Life Zero Viscosity.
Is the just massive increase in animation quality across the board, with animators like Carl and Garrett and everyone being involved in it, as well as just like the art team as well have just done an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and it means a lot to hear that it's one of the best YouTube shows, because it's like, hell yeah.
Oh, for
we're coming for you. Digital Circus, is that the new hotness?
we're coming there. Well, so I think that legitimately, like, I think it's the when it comes to producing serial content, whether that's a TV show or internet shows and stuff like that, it's important to nail down like a consistent, but also like oh yes, like if it's beautiful and stuff, that's great. I can't wait to see the next episode in 4 years, you know what I mean? And I feel like the pipeline that you guys have going on with how, well, I think it's like yearly almost, if not semi-yearly, with the videos for Hunter.
Yeah, although I think we're wanting to speed. I think I say we, like, I'm making these decisions.
No, you're good.
I think the team is wanting to speed that up a little bit, just because it was issues with difficulties, and especially as Zero Viscosity 1 and 2 were being made, I think that like there was a channel update about how they were sort of like lagging behind a little bit, trying to kind of keep up with the costs of it. But I know I've already recorded my lines for episode 5, and they're well on their way with that, which is great news. So hopefully more would be a good thing. It'd be nice if the show would come out a little more consistently, just for like the team's sake, because I really want Hunter to continue succeeding. I want everything that Alpha does to continue succeeding.
Oh yeah,
He's a very nice guy.
Alpha's like, his work is fantastic. I mean, for reals, dream interview, not gonna lie, just to pick that man's head specifically. I think it was because he had a video where he's just kind of like looking at his Gene Stealer cult that he made, and I was like, oh man, I gotta ask this guy so many questions, just because the way his mind works is fascinating.
Yeah, no, 100%, just because he's a really good guy. Last year I flew out to Sweden on a little holiday, and got to sort of hang out with him one-on-one, and along with a few other members of Ogre Popenang, like Carl and Garrett and such, and really great guy. Great guy, and as someone rightfully says in chat, he is, Domino, you are correct, he is a hard worker. But yeah, I'll ask him about a potential interview if I get the chance within the next, I don't know, 6 months. He's probably going to be quite busy, but I'll see if I can get a word in.
You're lovely.
Was that where the post? Sorry, someone in chat asked if that was where the post credits for episode 4 was filmed. Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
I have a question. Was Christina there? M1 then.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She's actually working with me right now on the channel. She makes some of our assets.
Oh,
Speaking of
cool.
which, also she told me to tell you to say hi.
I.
She
Oh, fuck's sake. That's
instruct
why she messaged me with that.
she instructed me to do this for you. Um
Thank, thanks, Christina. I miss you. You were a wonderful person to be hanging around with for like a week, walking around Sweden. Um, but yeah, no, I mean that's fantastic. I didn't know that she was working with you. That is awesome.
Yeah, so specifically what we're trying to do, and I think this is a good time to do it now since we're here talking about it. We are trying to get more people on the Patreon for the sole
Hmm.
reason that I want to see, like, I do everything that I do out of pocket, but
Mm.
I'm kind of one of those people that, like, I would like to do everything myself, but also I just simply don't have the time with being a student and trying to pay rent.
Mm.
So but even then, like, a lot of the, like, I have an editor that I pay, I have artists I pay and stuff like that, and that's all out of pocket. um
Yeah.
and so right now what we're trying to do is we're trying really hard to pitch the Patreon, so that mostly we can just pay everybody. Like, if I can get the channel to be completely like all the money we get in donations and stuff is going to go straight into the channel, just because, like,
Mm.
these people are fantastic and I want to pay them. Christina
Mm.
specifically, what we want to do is for the Patreon, there's a tier that is $20. 15 of those dollars are going to Christina so that she can make you a little icon that will show up at the end of each of the YouTube videos and at the end of
Mm.
streams once we get that eventually. When that happens, you can switch down to the $3 a month, whatever you need to do. If you pay the
Mm.
once, the Christina will make a lovely little picture of you that will, be here.
Mm.
And she's fantastic. And also, like, for reals, like, I think it was the bit where I was just kind of scrolling Twitter because, I follow her on Twitter. And I think
Yeah.
she said a bit like, "Hi, emergency commissions. I need to pay for my brother's school." And I'm like, "Honey, I need to find you work." So I got a hold of her and we kind of cut this deal so that we can have more people. Just find her consistent work mostly, because her work's
Awesome.
fantastic. It's
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah, yeah. I've been I if that is the case, I mean, I'm not necessarily like I don't have a whole lot of like spending money at this moment in
Ow.
time just because of cost of living in the
Yeah.
UK has been shit for
Oh,
years and it's
no
getting worse.
worries. Yeah.
But it's something that I want to be doing as well if I can, just to just to like help her out. I want to do that, and I think that's just a really good idea for like a Patreon tier
Hmm.
of just having that for like the little icon. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've noticed Ogre Popenang do it themselves with the end of the main videos as well
Oh yeah. That's
with the
that's kind
Patreon.
of, that may or may not where I got the idea.
Hmm. Totally fair. I think it's a great one. I, I hope that all goes well, and if that is the case, I am more than happy to like try and direct people in that direction
Oh please.
to help.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the huge thing that we want to try and push for is to I want this channel and the Twitch and stuff just to be a home for creators to work,
Mm,
is more the thing I'm
yeah,
trying to push.
yeah,
Like I said, a lot of it is more because, like, I mean, I could spend forever trying to, because I used to do editing. I used to be like stubborn and do all my own stuff, but I found that when you look out there, a lot of people just want work, and I want to give it to them. So, like I said, a lot
mm,
of stuff is just kind of like out of my own pocket. I hire a lot of people onto these things just to make, assets and stuff. And I want to kind of make that the, I guess, the brand almost of, like, yeah, like, if you support us, you're allowing creatives to work. You know what I mean?
mm, yeah. That's how I think. That's how I think about it as well. I mean,
Yeah.
on my second channel,
Sure.
I have two podcasts sort of hosted, and one
Yeah.
of which every episode we have that every episode of that we have art that has been drawn by a good
Mm.
friend of mine called Senpai, who has also drawn the lovely Thunder Psyker
Wow.
cat that is currently on your guest chair.
It's beautiful, by the
Um,
way. I love him.
yeah, I love him as well. I'm always so happy with anything that Senpai makes, but
Hmm.
it is because I do want to help him out. I
Yeah.
want to give him a chance to like draw more things, and also I make sure to pay him if I can for it. So it's I completely understand the I'm losing words now. I've been
You're good.
talking a million miles a minute,
Oh,
but
you're good.
I want to provide the support.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, Comrade Beefcake, thank you for popping in. Yes, we have merch. This merch was also created by another artist. This money, if you do buy merch, all that money is going to go straight back into paying editors, paying artists, all that jazz. We have hats, we got mugs, we got stickers. I think there's a shirt, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a look at the moment now because I
Oh,
really
lovely.
like this merch.
Oh,
and how
thank
this looks
you.
At the moment.
Legitimately, I think it was Hobbytan that told me about Fourth Wall. And the thing is that it has a really nice creator, and I'm not gonna sing their praises too much until they pay me. Uh, but the biggest thing right now with that is that I'm trying to find, in a similar thing, I'm trying to find random Twitter artists, pay them for their work, and just trying to make like merch lines and stuff, just so that I can commission them and stuff. Still in the talks with some people. You guys might know Deaton. They did Phoenix's little icon, and I'm trying to get in talks with them to get some shirts made or a shirt designed. But sorry, I'm going on about my own stuff. This is for you.
You're fine. Honestly, it's your channel at the end of the day. So
I'm sure. I appreciate it. Well, yeah. Speaking of your second channel, Thunderstriker. I did not know this existed until I was doing some research last night. I was like, oh no, there's VOD channels, and so I went in and just I love it. It's adorable. I love your Return to Sender, I think it is, and the whole point is that you guys are recording it in a shipping container.
Yeah, that was our flavor for why, because we recorded the original episode of that in like 2018, and then that was hosted on Dr. White's channel for a while, and it got taken down. But but that was our excuse for why the acoustics were so echoey. We just made that the flavor of it.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, whenever we're making new ones of that, which we're gonna record the 7th episode of that tomorrow.
Yeah.
We talk about it, and it's like I'm always like, do I try to make this sound better?
Sure.
Like, surely it's going to be more listenable if I do it, but also if I don't do that, it ain't going to feel right. It's not going to sound like a cargo container.
It's very funny.
So I really enjoy what we do with Return to Sender. I think it's great fun to record. And admittedly, podcasts aren't the only thing I want to do on that channel.
Yeah,
I do also hope to, if I do a bit more streaming myself on the main channel, I want to host my VODs on there.
Sure.
But at this moment in time, it's mainly just the podcast is being hosted, including List Goes On, which is how Senpai draws the art for.
Yes.
That one's a little bit more focused on just talking about specific games Ash and I have played, whereas Return to Sender is about Return to Sender is about, basically whatever the hell the hot topic is of that.
Of course.
Well, not that month, but maybe the 3 months prior.
I do remember the conversation about Pal World.
Yeah.
You first. No, you're good.
I was just gonna say, sometimes we'll record those for like 3 to 4 hours, and I have to cut them in 2. But other than that, for the most part, if I do want to keep those a little bit more topical if we're going to talk about those kinds of things, because otherwise, I much prefer kind of talking about a broader topic. I like some of the stuff that Angles brings up about like music or things like that. I think was a really fun one to record.
Music's good.
Just talking about game music and things. But,
that's lovely.
Yeah.
The specifically your second channel. I think it's great. I think it's fun. Everyone, you should go look at Thunder Striker. It's on YouTube. I didn't know it existed until I did some research last night. So all of you, go watch it. Return to Sender's adorable. It's hilarious.
I gotta promote it more then. I gotta keep that up. Come on.
Oh,
So
the
people can check it out.
promotion things is so hard for me because I'm like, how do I not be annoying? Like, is the big thing for me.
I worry about that so much as
Yeah.
well because it's a thing of like I really don't want to seem like I'm pushing extra things like too hard.
Mhm.
The way I'm gonna try and put a little bit more emphasis, like a little bit more direction in that way is just I'm wanting to put together a little best of the first 6 episodes of Return to Sender to coincide with releasing episode 7.
Sure.
I was going to put that out before I do the Dawn of War mod video, but I think at this time I might have to prioritize that because that is what brings in the views, and also
Yeah.
I want to talk about the mods that I've played. I think that they were really, really fun, and when I'm on a roll script writing, it's great.
Yes.
Because 90% of the time I really struggle to get on a roll with script writing. That to me is the hardest part of making videos, is
Sure.
just getting concise thoughts on a page to read off.
I was gonna say that was one of the questions I was gonna ask you specifically. It's funny because it's like question 1, but we have just kind of like off the rails immediately.
I've taken your train just any direction that the tracks will take me. Just
I am okay with it. It is we are now we started in England. We ended up somehow in Spain.
Yeah.
Went through Africa, back to Spain.
Yeah.
Now we're on the moon. So
it's beautiful up here.
Oh yeah, no, it's nice. There's stars. I don't know where else to go.
There's a whole. It's probably less light pollution than there is in any city down here. So
yeah. So I was just gonna actually ask because you mentioned scripting is the hardest bit for you because it just takes so long. How long does editing usually take for you? Like when you have everything scripted, you recorded your lines. What does the editing look like for you? Because I'd imagine that would take the longest, just for the sheer amount of like footage and just trimming everything together would be.
Editing can also be quite lengthy, but what I tend to find is that when I'm editing, I kind of go into an almost crunch mode where I'm just going like, cool, if it is not a day where I'm working at a day job, I wake up and I go, and it's not a necessarily healthy thing, and frankly, if I had it my way, I would just give myself more time to do every step of the process. But I'd want to take more time with editing just because, especially, it'd make things a hell of a lot easier to like share previews with like patrons.
Yeah.
If it was a very clear case of, hi, this week I've managed to finish up this part of the video, and here's a sneak peek for you guys to see.
Yeah.
My problem tends to be, is that it's like it's like it's like a hill that gradually gets steeper and steeper in terms of how much work I go into, where it's like,
Sure.
yeah, kind of like casually gonna play the game a bit and formulate a few ideas. All right, I've got the footage I need. Now it's time to write the script based on what I've recorded, and just going, and it just takes, it's just like gradually more work being done in shorter amounts of time.
Yeah.
Until we get to editing, and it's like, all right, video happening now.
Yes.
And it's like this week is just editing. And if we talk about it hour to hour, I think that is probably the longest part. It's just done in the shortest amount of time, which is, I'll fully admit, has been unhealthy sometimes.
Sure.
Blood Omen in particular, this is one of the reasons why sorry, not Blood Omen. The Order Tide video I did.
Oh, sure.
It turned out fine. People liked it well enough. It's probably my least favorite high effort video.
Sure.
Because a lot of it was edited within the space of about 2 or 3 days. It was very crunchy.
Yeah.
And I did do an all-nighter.
Yeah.
And that wasn't healthy.
No.
I really, really wanted to have done a little bit more like research before I did the final version of the script, and I wanted to like put put a few more visual gags in there, and I did not manage to do so. I had a sponsorship deadline to meet, and I was like,
Sure.
balls, I have
Yeah.
to do it now.
Yeah.
And I think on that front, like, it could be quite hard, but I think I've gotten relatively used to my editing style, and I'm still using flipping Sony Vegas that I've been
Yeah.
using for nearly 10 years now.
Yeah.
So so I know my way around the software like decently well to do what I do.
Sure.
But it's generally a case of, I think that the biggest time wasting part is just script work. It's
Sure.
just idea to page and then refining that into something that I think is going to be entertaining or funny.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of editing, the editing, I think the most annoying part of it for me personally is just going through all my footage, labeling it,
Yeah.
then getting to making the video and going, right, I talk about this thing, I need to find a clip that illustrates this, because sometimes I don't.
Gotcha.
This is like a really big reason why Dawn of War 2 took forever.
Sure.
The bigger reasons was more kind of beyond that. It was that I was studying at the time, and also I personally fell into a pretty bad depression during that period,
Yeah.
which sucked a lot of my enjoyment out of like basically anything I liked.
Sure.
But when it came to editing, it was like there'd be a point where I'm like, cool, I talk about flamers here. I have
Yes.
600 bits of footage. Some of these are just me being, I'm in combat, I'm going to press record, and just, it seems important.
Mhm.
And I'll watch through them and be like, I have like 20 hours of footage. What do you mean I don't use a flamer once? What do you mean? What do you mean? I wrote this in the script. This is I said what? Huh? It's like, how don't I have this? So then I would have to load up the campaign and go, fine, I'm gonna go onto the campaign and get to a point in the early game where I've picked up a flamer and I'm using it. And I forget that Dawn of War 2 is a game of random drops, and I'm like, oh my god, it's been 5 hours. Why is nothing dropping? I would just, and it was like, oh my god, how long did that take me?
Yeah.
How long did that take me to get one clip? And ever since then, I've been like, never again am I going to irresponsibly press the record button anytime I play.
Yes.
I have to do it with purpose.
Yes.
So,
No. Valid.
So that's I think, just to kind of overall, just to make these thoughts a little bit more comprehensive, playing the game is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Writing the script takes forever because I just find it way too hard to put words onto a page and to concisely put my thoughts. Then sifting through the footage, sometimes before script work, sometimes afterwards, just depending on it depends on if I'm wanting to write based on the footage I've made, or if I'm wanting to get footage based on what I've written. That can also be really long and fucking boring.
Yeah.
Whereas editing, I love editing.
Sure.
I actually really enjoy it whenever Vegas doesn't want to crash on me.
Yeah.
I think it's great fun. But it's probably the most intensive when it comes to like hours of work. Everything else, it's like a little bit more relaxed, unless I know I've got a sponsorship deadline and I'm like, wait, script, go, come on, please.
Yeah, gotcha.
Give myself, I need more time to edit.
Yeah.
That's how it is. I've spent far too long wanting to gush about that particular pipeline of working for ages. So that was years of that kind of thought just coming out there. So
dang, love it.
There we go.
Oh, okay, we can breathe. Our group therapy has done well. This is good.
Yeah.
No, we should definitely at some point open a segment where it's just like creator therapy, and it's just like, all right, what's happening? What's wrong? Gush, let's go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I did not mean to take that quite so much of like a soapboxy thing about editing, but
no, you are good.
I think that would be honestly a really funny bit, is just to get a bunch of video producers into like one call and just be like, all right, so how did Adobe Premiere fuck you over this?
All right, today we have the Flash animators. Please come grieve.
Oh my god. Man, I do not envy I do not envy the trials of animators,
No,
regardless of their animation style.
it's animation. Like, I think animation is probably one of the most magical yet like deadly forms of art there is.
Mm,
Just because
absolutely.
it takes so much time to do, and but when you get it done, it's just magic. And
Yeah.
so I don't mean, so actually, speaking of which, you have like some little small animated bits in the, I noticed it in the Kane video where, like, you know, you have a
Mm,
bit where you have, you know, Thunder Psyker the cat just kind of like moving some eyes, doing a little jostle
yeah.
and stuff.
Mm. Yeah, I've been wanting to kind of like pivot into that direction for a little bit.
Hmm.
Although it does kind of come from a sort of slight area of like, okay, I'm coming back onto YouTube now properly.
Hmm.
What the hell is my like image? Like,
Yes.
how do I represent myself on here? Because I'm a disembodied voice. Do I make the cat kind of like a channel mascot, or do
Yeah.
I do something else? Because quite a few people were saying, just make your avatar like Kitten from TTS or Kitten
Oh,
from Hunting the
sure.
Parenting. And it's like, that would be cute, but I kind of want to have my own identity
No, of
outside of my
course.
character.
Yeah,
So,
you don't want to be
um,
represented by a character that you've been working on, you know, because you're still you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Ultimately, I ended up just being like, you know what? Let's just make the cat a thing.
I do
I
like the
I
cat.
I wanted to kind of like have that there to like animate a few pieces here and there. Where I'm like, because I thought for a while of like, do I go full face cam? I mean, lunchtime in the background here is a little bit contrary to my point here because it does very much have me in it
To be
playing two
fair,
different characters.
this was
But
like 10 years ago, so I think
yeah,
I think when it comes to branding, we have passed the statute of limitations for that.
yeah, yeah. But it was but that was something where I was thinking about do I want to have like do I want to actually like pivot into face cammy stuff and like and like have live action footage of myself
Hmm.
over more of the review, and I ultimately decided like no, I'd rather just animate the cat.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like I'd enjoy that more. So um this is also there's also as well things like um like a couple of the gags in the Retribution retrospective where I
Yeah.
put a few animations in there,
Those are
and
very
I thought,
cute.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know what, yeah, I'll chuck those into Order Tide, and I'll chuck those into Legacy of Kain's the Blood Omen review as well
Hmm.
because I thought they were fun, and I want to do more of them
Yeah.
because I I I I I do find animation rewarding as much as my style is very simple. It's very much pre-TTS Alpha Abuser style
Yeah.
animation.
Yeah.
I I find it fun to have the
Yeah.
little, you know, cutouts moving around.
Little
Um,
PNGs move around like on popsicle sticks.
yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, people have asked me about if I do want to do streaming, about whether or not I want to get a VTuber setup or like a
Hmm.
PNG tuber thing. Like,
Sure.
Senpai offered to sort out a. It feels really weird saying his username. Senpai offered. He offered a to make PNG YouTuber avatars for me, and I was like, I'd like to, but also never quite sure about like how people would respond to it, just because there was a while where people had a weird backlash to PNG tubing, and I never really understood why. But
I
um,
I think, I mean, for me personally, I mean, I do the VTuber not because like, oh yeah, I want to be a VTuber, but it's because I just don't want to like record my face in my room,
mm,
you know, just like because the thing is like, well, you know, people like to have something to look at, you know what I mean, just like a little
mm,
character representing them. So that's why I kind of went
yeah,
into this route. And also it's nice because instead of just two disembodied voices talking, it's a goblin interviewing a cat, which I
yeah.
think is fun.
I think that is fun. That's something I do quite like it
Hmm.
as a thing.
Yeah.
So I also can't say I don't blame you about this thing of like, do I actually want to show my face like on the internet so actively?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oftentimes I'm like, I and it's a thing of like I used to have a kind of I don't know if dysmorphia is the wrong word, but I
Sure.
never really liked how I looked, or
Yeah.
at the very least, I never felt that I looked the way I sounded.
Sure.
And as a result of that, I was like, don't. I'm personally like prefer to have like an avatar, and
Yeah.
I think I can understand it when other people say the same.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, a lot of that for me was I transitioned, and when that happened, like, so if you want to talk about like dysmorphia and all that, like, trust me,
mm,
all of that up in here.
yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I get you. I have a lot of, I have a lot of friends of mine who are trans and non-binary, and
Mhm.
yeah, I get it as well.
Yeah.
But it's I just noticed someone in chat saying that I could always use the avatar I had back when I was in the Alpha Legion's fourth company.
Oh sure.
Um, I always liked that design, but it is a Space Marine, and it's a thing
Yeah.
of I have complicated Warhammer feelings. I
Yeah.
still like
Com-
I like the IP, I like the characters I've played and the ones I've made, but
the company
if I want to be a
is kind of weird right now.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's lots of back and forth about it. I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but I am just if I can make more of an identity for myself
Oh, I agree.
away from Warhammer,
Uh-huh.
but to still be the guy who can talk about Space Marines,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Do
That's
you
what I want.
are you aware of Hobbytan, the streamer?
Hobbiton, I've heard the name. I've
They
heard the name, but I don't.
they hang out with Snipe and Wib a lot.
That's probably why I've heard of them then.
Also, I believe they hang out with like Longfang.
Mm,
The Their whole thing was that they actually started out as Hobby Squig, and then everything was
mm,
happening, and they wanted to kind of do a rebranding, and so now they're Hobby
mm.
Tan and they're a raccoon, and it's adorable.
That is cute.
Yeah.
That is cute. I mean, when in doubt, you go with the you go with the cutest animal you can
Cute
you
animals.
find cutest at that time.
Yeah.
Like like well, I think raccoons are cute, but
Raccoons
I've
are
never
adorable.
lived around them.
Uh,
Uh, although I guess you then run into the issue of like you get the furry allegations, but I don't really care anymore. Uh,
hey, look, it's not like what 2007 anymore. People are furries. You know, it's just whatever.
no, yeah, I don't. I have no issue with it
Oh, of
at all
course. No,
anymore.
no, of
Like,
course. Yeah.
but yeah, it's like honestly, more power to them. The furries probably have like a more powerful economy than I don't know, fucking Belgium.
I'm not
So,
gonna. I have no idea how. Because the thing is that's like a stereotype that's been going around that is 100% true. I know this because I've dated a couple of furries at a certain point, and like,
mm,
where do you acquire your money? Turns out they tend to be computer majors for some reason.
yeah, yeah, the scientific elite
Yeah.
that they are. God, if furries were a real time strategy game like faction, they would have a lot of tech bonuses. I
Oh,
guarantee you it.
100%. 100%.
Uh,
How are we feeling?
great, great. A little dry in the throat, but I'm great.
That's good. So I have a couple more questions, but like we've talked a lot. We have 100. Sorry, I was gonna say 130 minutes. That's not how that works. We have an hour and 30 minutes on the clock. Do
Mm.
you want to go through some more questions? Is there anything else specifically you want to talk about? This
I'm
is
happy
for
to
you.
go through any further questions. My main worry about doing these kinds of things is
Hmm.
if the streamer has a tight schedule and if I am rattling on about a
Oh,
specific point, uh, I that isn't necessarily that interesting. So if you want to get those out the way, I'm more than
oh
happy
no,
to.
I am literally here. Like I cleared my whole day for whenever I stream. So
Mm.
yeah, like like I said, this is more of like because I am also similar, like, oh, I can talk for 900 years, but also I understand that like, oh, some like normal people like don't like talking for like endless
Yeah.
on ends about random stuff. So this is
Mm.
completely for you. Like we can keep going. Usually I try and aim for when I do interviews, they go for an hour to 2 hours. If I'm just doing a
Mm.
normal stream, I usually go for four. So that's completely up
Mm.
to you.
That's fine then. I'm happy to keep just a little bit of a
Sure.
structure. I'm happy to answer questions still. So
Cool.
that's
Yeah.
all good.
Well, why don't we try and shoot for the 2 hour mark and see how we feel?
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
good to me.
So let's see here. Okay, so that's one thing I want to ask you. we talked a lot about your voice acting and just kind of like you know your work with Ogre Papadong. You're like you've been doing fun fan works since you were what 12 you said. Um,
Yeah, as far as voice acting is concerned, absolutely.
what advice could you give to somebody? Because like I mean me personally, I've always wanted to get into voice acting. I've tried to work
Mm.
on fan projects that never really pan out and stuff. And like it's also like a form of you know it's one of those like I think you put it really succinctly when you said like oh yeah
Mm.
it's a job that I really want to do because at the end of the day like yes this is work I want to contribute, you
Mm.
know what I mean? What advice
Yeah.
would you give?
So it's that is a fantastic question because I always worry that I can't give great advice because the only advice I can really give is just based on my own experience and
Yeah.
I am in quite a small in my mind at least I am in quite like a small niche of very specific events happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I think one thing that's quite important is that if you are invested in a fandom and that fandom is full of people who are keen to make stuff and to collaborate with other people to make stuff for YouTube or for anything like that, maybe nowadays it'd be like TikTok or whatever.
Sure.
Um, uh, collaborate with them. Make something fun. Make something that's lighthearted, that is low stakes. I say lighthearted. It can be serious, obviously, but
Sure.
like be
Lighthearted in
happy
terms
to
of like production.
yeah be happy enough to express your interests and want to create things with them and to share that with other people, that you are happy to join a community or a sub community and to make things either with them or for them or something like that,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. Because for me, although I had this like credit in like a Chowder parody, nothing else came of that.
Yeah.
The main way I got my start was that I joined this sub community of the Warhammer community that was called the
The
Alpha
Alpha
Legion,
Legion. Yeah.
uh, and 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 the guys inside of it were wanting to make funny videos, either about game nights that the group was having, or about like animations that they were doing for fun, and just hanging out with those people, getting to know folks, and going like, hell yeah, if you need a voice, you need a hand with this kind of thing, I'll jump in. And if there's not many opportunities, make them. Give video creation a go. Give animation or something a go. Um, and as for acting on that side specifically, that's a lot harder for me to talk about,
Yeah.
just because I think that I wasn't a drama student. I
Sure.
actually had to get taken out of drama when I was 13, going on 14,
Yeah.
because I actually got tired of drama.
Oh sure.
Um, so, but I always had a passion for storytelling and about those kinds of things. And if that's something that you have as well, then then give it a shot. It's the same thing of like giving a shot of just making things.
Yeah.
Um, I think that I don't really know proper acting terminology. I think
No,
I would
sure.
say that my style, how I get into character and things, is probably closer to something like method acting than it
Sure.
would be to like classically trained acting.
Yeah.
But realistically, I excuse me if I'm oversharing.
Oh no, you're fine.
I when I think about it, I'm someone who is on the autistic spectrum,
Sure.
and people who are on the autistic spectrum have to kind of like, there's like the concept of masking
Yeah.
that they have to do in order to kind of blend in.
Yeah.
And in a way, that gave me a lot of practice for acting, because in a lot
Sure.
of ways, I had to pretend that I was someone I was not for a long, long time to feel like I fitted in.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing was a very unfortunate feather in my cap.
Sure.
But I think I think in that front, the thing is that you're gonna learn by doing.
Yes.
The first things that you make, the first things that you act in, might be things that you might not give a particularly great performance in hindsight, and it might not be that amazing. You might be trying to get a flow or a feel for it. But as you do it more, it will become more natural. And what you'll find is probably a really big key to this kind of thing, is realizing that when you are reading off a script and you are playing a character, it's not about taking words. It's not about just reciting the words that are on the page. It is about pretending that those words are your own.
Yeah.
And that you are this character in that moment, and that you are responding to that like it's something that a lot of people struggle with, I suppose. But it's like, okay, this scenario is being described, that my character's in. I need to like feel like I'm there and act and like think about it like I'm there.
Yeah.
When you imagine yourself in that situation, it becomes way easier to consider what emotions you would be feeling in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a perfect solution, but it's a start. I always find
Sure.
is just thinking about it like that and just doing more of it. And hell, when I say about making things and being a part of things, even if those things never see the light of day, it's practice,
Yeah.
and it's something that gets you your start. The retrospectives I made, this is a different front, but like the
Sure.
retrospectives I made probably feel like they came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
but they because I didn't make any reviews before they came out, but I had practiced. I had done
Yeah.
those kinds of things behind the scenes, like stuff that never saw the light of day, original drafts, and also watching other people do that kind of thing. That's the key to a lot of my creative process, whether that is as an actor or as a producer.
Mm. That's lovely. That's wonderful. I'm actually working on a fan project, and I'm going to clip that and throw it at everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm glad that that would work as a little bit of advice for them. I hope
Oh,
that they appreciate it.
yeah. I mean, like me in general, like I said, I'm actively trying to find voice work. Just because, like,
Mm.
I'm just finding I'm not terribly like, I don't know. I'm not built for the 9 to 5, I guess, and I'm finding
Yeah,
that creative
for
work
that.
is where I'm at. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, I trust me. I've worked some very shit jobs over the last sort of 4 years,
mhm.
trying to get by during the COVID world, and
Oh yeah,
I very much understand the burnout on the way things currently are at this point in
yeah,
time. Uh, so I feel you. I feel you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's lovely. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
The other thing that I have here, we have a couple things. Well, first off, okay, well, so one thing I wanted to bring up, I remembered it while we were talking. I think that your transition to like making the cat your kind of mascot is fantastic. For the sole reason that I've noticed that whenever you kind of represent yourself and stuff, use cat memes with the noodle hat. Um,
Yes,
and
yes. I'm really happy with that. I want to do. I should really like what I did with like Chaos Rising specifically, with just putting the hat onto different characters. I want to do that more.
yeah,
And I think that's a video I've had as sort of in the backlog for a while, was something that's just talking about how I got into Warhammer and kind of how I started on YouTube.
yes,
And I already have like a bunch of cat images I've got saved of like specific points in that video where I'm just gonna slap the hat on it. Um, I've been scouring Google Image for any picture of like a grey cat,
love
so
it.
that I've got different expressions and angles and stuff
I
to use.
I am legitimately excited for that video, because
Oh,
like, I think it's easy to say that like the main reasons why I'm here is because the community built around Warhammer. There's a massive Warhammer community here where I live. I actually work at a Warhammer, not a Warhammer store, but we work at a hobby shop that sells Warhammer stuff,
mm,
and so like just as a person that kind of met all these wonderful people and are here where I am now on Twitch because of a niche interest that I had back in 2019.
yeah.
I'd love to kind of see your like how that happened for you, especially because you with your retrospectives on Dawn of War and the series and all that jazz. It's just, yeah, I'm very very interested and excited for that video in particular.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, because it's something that I've wanted to do, even if it's just for my own sake.
Yeah.
Just because there's sometimes times where I feel that, especially when I think about someone who has just started watching TTS
Hmm.
and that kind of thing, and they go, "Oh, cool, what is this?" Um, there's like the surrounding context of like the Alpha Legion, of what that was,
Yeah.
as well as what it then becoming Hunter the Parenting, and then sort of looking at my own things as well and how that got that start.
Hmm.
I feel like maybe this is me turning the question onto the interviewer here a little bit, but it's like uh I feel like since you watched TTS as well,
I
that
have.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
getting to that scene where the Alpha Legion gets canonically sucked into a box by Magnus
Yes.
is so confusing to anyone who hadn't been subscribed to Alpha Abuser since like 2012.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck was that? Who are these people? Why did that happen?
Hmm.
And I feel like, and a lot of the time, I even though it's not that important, I always have a feeling of like, I need to explain myself. I need
Hmm.
people to know what this was and why this was going on. So
Yeah.
that's kind of why I wanna do that kind of thing.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah,
The also, can I just point out, Carl the Deranged, was he part of Alpha Legion? Is that where you guys kind of met?
yeah.
Hmm.
Carl joined in 2012 as well because
Sure.
I joined like that's when it got started. Was like I think it was March of 2012. I joined that group in. I'd been a viewer of Alpha Abusers, but I joined it in like April,
Yeah.
and I think Carl had joined it in like June or July or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's where a bunch of us met. Was just through that group, making things together. Carl is great, by the way. Really down to earth guy, and I love him to pieces. I think he is fantastic.
I have to
Um,
say, mostly because we've been seeing a lot of Carl at the end of Hunter the Parenting videos because he's always
yeah.
there.
Mm.
One thing, he looks like a really great guy. Second thing, that's a handsome man right there. Just saying. Just want to put that on the table, Carl. If you're listening, you're
Absolutely, yeah.
God.
No,
Just
I think he would take the compliment in stride. I
sure,
reckon.
yeah.
If it, I'll be sure that he is that.
Be sure
Uh,
that he knows that I'm like, hey, just
yeah,
saying,
just,
nice.
just like, people think you're handsome, Carl.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Carl's whole energy, like it brings me back to days that I spent. We used to do SEA here in America.
Mm.
It's the Society of Creative Acronyms, where it's basically like it's kind of like LARPing, but instead of oh yeah, magic fireballs and stats, you kind of just dress like a medieval peasant and go out in the woods for a week and just drink. Um,
Hell yeah.
Oh no, it's been so good, and just seeing Carl run around in like cloaks and robes, and I think there was a bit where, like, there was like a couple guys just in garb and shields and stuff. Is like, man, this guy would fit in here real easy, and so
Definitely. Definitely. He did quite a lot. He does. I think he still does quite a
mhm,
lot of that in Sweden as well.
sure,
Like he's been. I think he was telling White and I, Dr. White and I, about I think a time he just spent like a week on like a Viking boat that
that's
was sailing around.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
What? Hold
It's
on, hold on. Sorry, I had to
yeah,
process. He was on a boat for 6 months, and it was just a Viking boat, and he just no, not 6 months, like a week.
like a week.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It was just with other people doing like a kind of LARPy thing in Sweden.
that is
There was like a
awesome.
there's like a bunch of stuff like that over there. So it's which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to check. I think one of his like most recent videos on his channel was filmed during one of those because it's like a Carl's a guard and he's guarding a gate and there's like four people trying to get past him. Um, and so if you ever want to get a good laugh, then give that a look.
That's awesome. I know what I'm doing like immediately after this.
Brilliant.
Um,
Yeah.
is there any other like so by the seems of it, it seems like a lot of this has kind of seeded from like friends on the internet, Alpha Legion, all that jazz. Is there any
Yeah.
other friends you want to give a shout out since we're here talking about them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess they would all have a presence on the internet for the most part, but for starters, given that it's immediately staring me in the face right now, I've mentioned Senpai before, the
Yes.
like the artist and animator who's done stuff for The List Goes On and that kind of thing. I want to give a shout out to him. He is a animator who's graduated recently, and he's always looking for work. He's a great guy. And his final projects from his last year of university is online, and I am in it.
Oh wow.
If you want to give it a watch. So I'm going to try and get a link to it.
Oh please.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I may
so
or may not get his information after this, just because I don't have an animator yet.
no, absolutely. I think he would be greatly appreciative of like any help and like any kind of attention and such
Hmm.
that he has at the moment in time. So that's definitely a shout out to him. I will also shout out Dr. White that I've mentioned before
Yes.
because he also does similar stuff to me on YouTube. If I do, I have my kind of like retrospective sort of here's a taste of a game, give it a go yourself, that kind of thing as
Yeah.
like a review. Dr. White does kind of like what I taught me everything that I knew about Sony Vegas.
Oh, could you
So
repeat that
um,
sentence one time? You cut out.
oh, sorry, yeah, no, the internet's not been great today.
Oh no, you're good.
Um, he taught me everything that I knew about Sony Vegas and such like that, and he's been a really supportive, awesome guy. The stuff he does on YouTube is kind of talk through stuff where he goes from the start to the finish of a game. He's working on a really big Command and Conquer 3 video
Sure.
at this moment in time.
Sure.
But he's got a bunch of other stuff on his channel, and I can highly recommend him.
Cool. That's awesome.
Looking at him. But other than that, if you have somehow not seen Hunter the Parenting or TTS at all, Brother Alpha Buser, go and check out his channel.
It's fantastic. Fantastic stuff.
That's where that stuff comes from, and it is brilliant. I play a character called Kitten in both of those.
Oh, I think you cut out.
Except one of them is a golden dad, and the other one is a big blue nerd.
Hello? You live?
Yeah.
Hello.
That's who I would shout out.
You did cut out again. But what we heard was that you play Kitten, except one is a big golden dad and the other one's a big blue nerd.
Yep.
Gotcha. Lovely. That's awesome.
The rest of that was just me wrapping up those statements.
Sure. I have here a singular question. Gregory Horror Show ?
Gregory Horror Show. Gregory Horror Show.
Gregory Horror Show. Thoughts?
In that video, it got enough mentions that I think it ended up being like I tallied up manually all the recommendations from that video.
Yeah.
Gregory Horror Show was 15th.
15th.
A completely obscure game / television show that very few people have watched or heard of or anything like that got 15th, and I am so happy to see that. It's a horror game for kids.
Yeah.
Where the characters almost look like these kind of like paper crafty things.
Yeah, I saw that.
The premise being that you are a guest at a hotel called Gregory House that is run by a rat called Gregory, and all of the residents of that hotel are trying to kill you.
Yes.
So you are trying to navigate through them and collect their souls to give them to the Grim Reaper.
Okay.
So that they can pass on effectively. It was a television show. It was a Japanese television show. Every episode.
Oh, he got up.
Watched the show and was like, "This was."
Yeah, he's dying.
Game is great.
So
somehow
I don't mean to interrupt you, but you missed like we heard none of that. You cut out at least 4 times.
No,
I'm sorry. Gregory Horror Show. Okay, so the thing I heard was Grim Reaper. Pass on. He's a show like in Japan, I think, and then it just That's all I got.
Okay, tell you what. 1 second. If I leave the call and come back, that might.
Okay, sure.
Things.
Yeah, that works.
1 second. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay. God, I need to know more about Gregory Horror Show. This is important to me. Hello.
Gregory Horror Show is incredibly important.
Please.
Yeah. No, it was a It was a TV. Yeah, it was a Japanese television show where every episode's like 2 minutes long for some reason.
Yeah.
Really short, but yeah, the game adaptation of it that was made by Capcom only released in Europe and Japan. It never released in North America.
What?
I don't think the show got televised in Europe. So I don't know why they did that. But all right. But yeah, one thing's for certain is that even if it doesn't become a retrospective on the channel, it will probably become a podcast episode on the list goes on. So I will talk about Gregory Horror Show. I think that game is delightful.
Please, please let me know when you do this. I must know about Gregory Horror Show.
I will.
Yes.
It must happen.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, like when I saw Gregory Horror Show, it like struck me as one of those fake games, kind of like a Bim Bop's Boulder Dash.
Yeah. Well, that was what surprised me because I found that out through Ash, who's my co-host on List Goes On, where she was like, "Yeah, I found a game I don't think either of us have ever heard of, and I've never heard anyone else talk about." And we were like, "Oh yeah, all right, let's play this." So we bought like a stupidly expensive copy, not insanely expensive, but like more than a PS2 game should be.
Yeah.
And we played it through, and I thought it was so good. I was so happy with it. Someone in chat's also asked Domino again, would you do something on Neverhood or the Trapdoor? I'd like to because I watched Trapdoor as a child. That show was a vibe, and the Neverhood is a soundtrack that repeatedly makes my playlist. So
nice.
It got me through a lot of bad day jobs. Was just listening to the a cappella songs from the Neverhood.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. No. Gregory Horror Show. The answers will come. I think I left a comment on a video saying Gregory by 2025. So Gregory's gotta happen by 2025.
Oh god, I'm so excited for that. You do the video and then the price gets inflated tenfold.
It's already ridiculous. It's gonna like triple. It's gonna be like $200 by the
God. Actually, that brings me a question right now. You love video games. I love video games.
I love them.
You love them. You love them. Have you ever thought about doing any kind of videos and stuff on covering other kinds of media? Like, you know, comic books, anything like TV, stuff like that, movies?
I have done. If the Blood Omen video had been produced in better time and I'd been able to do it faster, I would have made a video. I would have made a video about Avatar: The Last Airbender while it was still quite hot.
Whoa!
Because I love that cartoon. That's my favorite show.
Same.
Yeah, there we go. Fantastic taste.
Unironically, I would love to see a video of that from you. Like that. Like I never knew I needed a Thunder Psyker Avatar: Last Airbender video, but now it's all I can think about.
Maybe I should just do it. Just put that as something out there.
Please, for me.
Other than that, I was actually wanting to talk about some potential topics in the future about things that aren't just video games too. Like I have on my main channel, like for me, the two kind of like landmark sort of tentpole series I want to do on my main channel is my retrospectives, but also kind of like these quasi video essay things. Like I did one on Halo Reach like in September, and I did another on Warhammer 3, Warhammer 3's Ordertide. That's the kind of format that I want to talk about some other non-game stuff. Like, for instance, since 2017, I've wanted to make a video about a very specific episode of JoJo.
Yes. Please tell me which episode.
It would be Judgment from Stardust Crusaders.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because not many people seem to be talking about it. There were loads of people doing video essays about Whole Horse and about Vanilla Ice and that kind of thing. I want to talk about the middle because the middle is I really liked that episode for a lot of complicated reasons. And I want to talk about it somehow, just in some way. I also want an excuse to talk about pen and paper RPGs as well. At some point.
Of course.
That's something I'd like to do. Whether that be Shadowrun or D&D or whatever.
Sure.
I'd really like to do that.
Oh, Shadowrun's awesome. Future fantasy is such a weird setting, but I love it.
Sorry. Someone's also asked, what is your favorite bending element? I feel like we probably both answer that.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's really tough because they're all cool. I think
They're all very cool.
if it was choosing one specifically to have in day-to-day life, I'd want airbending.
Sure. I mean, you could fly, so
Yeah, I could fly, and it's incredibly versatile. There are ways to limit your use of the other three. Air is around you all the goddamn time.
sure,
Like,
sure. For me,
so
100%. I grew up in the desert. I would be an earthbender 100% of the time. Sandbender,
oh
all the way.
yeah,
Also, not gonna lie, Toph is my girl. You know,
Toph is best girl. Toph
Toph.
kicks ass.
Oh, Toph is the best. I'm not gonna lie. When I was young, I think Toph was probably like before I even knew it, one of my trans goals. Just like, God,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Because one thing about me in the transition was specifically trying to be like, yeah, I want to be woman, but I don't want to be like, I guess, kind of the ideal, like, oh yes, but I need to completely be like, change my personality and be complete feminine woman and stuff like that. And I
yeah.
think that Toph is really there for that because she's like, yeah, she's just the coolest person, and I love it.
Hmm. No, I completely agree with you there.
Mm-hmm.
She is fantastic, and I really like her as a character, and I'm glad that she is like a figure to sort of look up to in that way as well.
Oh yeah,
I think that's fantastic.
oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, top video essay coming sometime. I
Coming
don't know.
in 2050. Let's go.
2050, yeah.
God, I'm sorry. I'm just like, you said like I want to do a video specifically on the episode of Judgment, and I kind of got flashbanged with it because Judgment's such a weird episode. It's a
Yeah,
two-parter, isn't it?
yeah, it's a two-parter.
Yeah.
I didn't, but that's also one of the points I want to make is that I didn't really like Stardust Crusaders.
Oh sure.
It lost me and sold me and lost me again at
Yeah.
many moments. And Judgment was a really weird, like, this is an episode not many people seem to like that much, but it got me back into it again
Yeah.
to be like, oh shit, all this stuff happens. I think is quite cool. I like how it ties back into the mythical elements of part 1 and 2 with the
Yeah.
zombie thing and the genie stuff and all this kind of thing. Loads of stuff to look at it. And it's like, this is great. I like the character interactions. I really hope that Avdol gets to do literally anything.
Avdol, he got a little bit of brain damage. It's fine. It made it more
Yeah.
interesting.
And then it like pivots into High Priestess, which is one of my least favorite episodes. And it's
Sure.
like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
But
So, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3. I also, it has been one of the weirdest things because, for one, it's like everyone is like, oh yeah, if you're gonna skip parts, go to 3 because that's when it becomes the most JoJo, and also it's like pivotal and stuff like that. Unironically, have you ever seen the JoJo Part 3 OVA?
I've wanted to for so long because there's some details in it that I find really funny. I really like that Polnareff is just on the strength boat eating a pamphlet.
Yes.
I think that's very funny.
So unironically, so me and my friend put it on because we wanted to hate watch it. Because we were drunk. It was like Halloween, and we were just like, yeah, we're hanging out in a garage drinking beer. And but the thing we found that if you don't watch the dub, because the dub isn't amazing, if you watch the sub, like, it's legitimately kind of a really good retelling of Stardust Crusaders because the animation is fantastic and all the weird kind of it makes it make more sense at certain points. Like, for instance, like the bit where Avdol is on the strength boat, like that's hilarious and stuff. In the moment, it makes way more sense than, oh yeah, he's just kind of in a cafeteria and they go to a park and throw fire at each other to have a duel. Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, if you're legitimately like, oh yeah, like I've been meaning to rewatch it because I haven't had the chance to like finish it, but all the changes they did to it was very much like, oh, I kind of like that. So highly recommend it. Watch it subbed. If worse comes to worse, the animation is gorgeous.
Oh no, I really like the art style of it. I
Yeah.
actually think it's kind of dope looking,
Oh yeah.
and I really like it as an interpretation of Stardust.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of ways. I also had this obsession a little while ago, where there was a specific someone was selling the cells on like eBay from the original
Oh,
animation at one point. There might still be some being sold,
sure.
but there was one I really wanted to buy because something about it just broke me. I found it the funniest thing
Yeah.
I'd ever seen. It's a low angle shot of Jotaro that for some reason makes him look really fat, and it's just so jarring compared to the way he's portrayed in everything else. I think it's a smear frame or
Yeah.
something because it's like I saw it and I cackled for like 10 minutes and then I went I need this. I need to hang this up on my wall, but at the time I was broke. And then eventually I saved up some money and went back onto eBay and someone had bought it and I was like, "Damn it, I have been denied."
Hold on, hold on. I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up, seeing if I can find
I
it.
can't. I'm trying to find it on Google Images, and
Oh,
I,
it's so
I
hard because you look up Fat Jotaro and you just get a bunch of fetish art.
yeah, that's the problem.
Uh,
I can't find where the hell this is. Or can I find it on eBay? Sorry, eBay.
oh yeah, that might be the one.
See if there's anything like it. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure OVA Cell. Yeah, this guy is still selling a bunch. They have skyrocketed in price. They're now
Yeah.
like 400
Holy
pounds.
crap.
And I think all their other stuff, pretty sure all the other ones they've gotten now off it. But it's yeah, I really wanted one of those and I did not get one, which makes me very sad.
Sure.
But yeah, it's I have kind of wanted to watch the OVA out of curiosity, and the friends of mine, what the hell have you sent me? Is this from like
I found it. I don't know. I was looking at it, and I saw it on on Google Images. I was like, yeah, it's thunder like that. It's fine.
They look like they're in sumo suits. They look like little baby men.
I love them. Hold on,
I
let me
forget
pull
what the
this
hell
up
the
so people
actors-
could see.
I was gonna say, is this what's the game called that's on browsers? Is it like it's like Drawful, I think.
Oh,
What's his
actually,
name?
unironically, I think that's. Hold on, I just found it on Drawception is what I saw.
That's it, Drawception. I used to play that quite a bit.
Love it.
So yeah, that was a thing. But I
Sure.
originally watched parts 1 through 4 with 2 friends of mine, and I
Yeah.
said to them, "Let's watch the OVA," and they were like, "No."
Ah,
Because-
cowards, cowards.
I know they were not strong enough. Listen, the same trio of us also we played through Persona 4 and we were halfway through Persona 5 and also gave up halfway through Persona 5 and it was like no.
Oh no! The
Yeah.
was it Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royale?
The original Persona 5, but
Oh sure.
Royal had come out at that point, so it was like it was kind of there was also a feeling of we're playing a version of the game that has less stuff in it,
Oh
and
sure.
it's like it was a weird feeling.
Yeah.
But I own Royal myself now, so I can go and revisit it whenever I
Oh,
want.
highly recommend Royale because the ending with the Royale ending and stuff that it's phenomenal. It's really good.
I'll have to give it a look then,
Yeah.
and give it a proper go when I have any time.
Oh
'Cause
no,
right now I
yeah,
have to.
100%. You're
I
working with videos, voice acting,
yeah.
all that jazz.
Yeah, yeah. But it's all right. It's all good.
Mm.
I'm gonna pin. Like I know it's a private chat. I'm gonna pin that picture.
Oh sure, please, please.
There we go.
Currently, me right now, I'm actually going through Persona 3 Reload. Because you know, I played Persona 4 when that released on Steam, and I was enthralled just because of the. It's such a. It's so Shin Megami Tensei in general is so weird. Just because, like, yeah, it's heaven and hell, creation myth, and all that. Here's a demon on a toilet, and like the character, it's so weird, and I love that about it. It really gives me like Yu-Gi-Oh vibes in terms of the art style when it comes to the monsters, and contrasting that with just like, oh yeah, anime people, and even then the style around with the music and all that. It's like Shin Megami Tensei and Persona and all that. They hold a special place in my heart just because of how, I guess, weird they are,
That's completely fair. I'm gonna be playing Shin Megami Tensei 4 in a couple months, just in spare time.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I totally get you there. I really like the demons thing, and that's why I want to try Shin Megami Tensei, just because I do like Persona, but I do really enjoy having a bunch of silly little guys, and I want
Silly
to stick with
little
those silly
guys.
little guys. I
Uh,
want to
sh-
have a whole. I want to have a whole team of like Neko Shogun and Cat Sith and all the cat ones,
all the cat
because I think it'd be
ones.
funny. Yeah.
Man, I know Shin Megami Tensei 5. I think it's called like Massacre Reload or insert title here kind of deal.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to go back to play Persona 5. Maybe this is how I do it. I'll just buy it again. It's like no, but because I remember I got Persona 5, or sorry, Shin Megami Tensei 5 when it was released on the Switch, because it was Switch
Mm.
exclusive for the longest time, and this new one's coming to PC, so I think I'll probably pick it up on there.
Awesome. That's encouraging for me as well.
Oh yeah.
To put it on there.
So
But
Thunder Psyker, my guy.
yeah.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much for coming onto the show. It was.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Is there anything specific you want to touch on before we start wrapping stuff up?
No, not particularly. I think I'm quite happy with sort of what we've talked about today.
Sure.
I definitely took my sweet time on some of these points, but
Oh.
I'm happy to have been talking about them when we did. So,
Oh, it's perfect.
uh,
Cool. Is there anything that you want to pitch that you're or plug with creative stuff that you're doing right now?
yeah. So I would definitely want to promote my most recent video, the retrospective on Blood Omen: Legacy of Kain. It was a little bit of a difficult time making it, but I really
Mhm.
enjoyed it, and it's been my first kind of step forth into making things beyond the Dawn of War stuff. So,
Yes.
when it comes to retrospectives, at least, so I'm very chuffed with how that turned out. There is a guest appearance from Mandalore Gaming in it, and
Yes.
it was really great to have him on that.
Yeah.
And I'd love it if people could check that out. Other than that, if you do like any kind of long form talky stuff with me, I can also recommend my second channel, Thunder Striker,
Mhm.
where it has Return to Sender for more kind of general topics and sort of tangential discussions as
Yeah.
well. Or if you want to hear me talk about a specific game in a specific context, then the list goes on. It has got a long lineup of things that are going on ahead with it, and I feel like we're going to stick with that show for quite some time.
Sure.
So, I'll that's the main things I would promote. Other than that, watch Hunt of the Parenting. Episode 4 is out, but I probably recommend starting from the beginning because there are a lot of characters in episode 4. It's a big whodunit.
Doesn't make no sense if you haven't watched the rest of the show.
Yeah,
This is episode 4 is a huge payoff on a lot of characters mentioned in passing, and they all come together in one. Like, oh, like it's a very very well like good accumulation of like Chekhov's gun of terms of like you see a bunch of name drops in the earlier series, and now we see a lot of these name drops as characters, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic time, and I'm really chuffed with it. So, yeah.
Can we also say Oculus Imperialis as the boy does a fantastic job? What is the character that he plays? If you remind me.
He plays Occam.
Occam, yeah, he does such a good job. Like legitimately phenomenal. He has become one of my favorite characters, and he's only been there for one episode. Also,
genuinely fantastic.
Just want to go out there, Elise, my beloved.
Elise is great. I really like Marcus's friends. I like Elise and Harry and Grimmel as well.
Harry is
think
fantastic. Longfang does a great job with him. I remember Longfang was having a bit of like, oh man, but my accent and stuff like that. But dude does such a phenomenal job. Like if you're watching Longfang, for reals, wonderful job. Still need to find voice work for you, I promise.
Absolutely. I totally get it. But yeah, I guess that's it. Other than that, just beyond the other people I've shouted out, Dr. White, Alpha Buser, and Senpai. Yeah.
Lovely. And for me, like I said, everybody, if you're watching right now, please support the Patreon if you can. Like I said, all this money goes back in paying all the creators and stuff that work on this. This includes editing, assets, get your picture drawn by Christina. She's lovely and really needs the work. So, and like I said, most of that money is going to go to her. Also, merch store, all that jazz. We will be having a Persona 3 Reload, Spats and Phoenix Raise a Child 2. That is going to be showing up soon here. The video is all edited and stuff. It's just going to get posted. We have legitimately, I think it's probably one of my favorite works that we have done so far with my co-host and Joe Cool, our editor. A little shout out to him because he's been doing phenomenal work. He needs work. If you guys are looking for editors, he's out there. Same thing with Deaton, who does the some of our assets. Christina, who does some assets as well. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
Of course. Alrighty, everybody. You all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Yeah, take care, everyone.